Hello, friends, and welcome into Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast, Week 12 running back ranks. I'm Chris Welsh. We got Pat Fitzmaurice and Andrew Erickson. We're going to be going through the top 36 running backs, where our starts are, what disgusting things are we going to be dealing with, how bad does that flex running back range look, especially compared to what we did on our wide receiver show. We'll talk about all of that, tiers and more, using Fantasy Pros ranks on the website, using ECR. Mr. Fitzy, what's up with running backs in your world?
Oh, man, it sure looks better than the wide receiver position this week, Welsh. I think we're counting on running backs to carry the day this week because the wide receiver position could not be any less appealing than it is this week.
Erickson, if obviously no Bucky, how high are you obligated to put Sean Tucker this week after his performance? What is the obligation of how high he should go? He is going to be talked about in this show, but the ECR does not represent what he did last week.
No, but the ECR is trying to capture looking ahead, not necessarily just regurgitating what happened last week, because last week the optics were much better for Sean Tucker. Played the Buffalo Bills, worst run defense in the NFL. This week, is he even the starting running back for his team? Is he the RB3 on his team? So a lot to unpack with that Bucs backfield. But I would say, just generally speaking, this does feel like a flex running back week.
Wait, the Bills are the worst run defense in the NFL. I think the Bengals would like a word, Erickson.
I mean, they're trying to be the worst run defense in the NFL. They're doing their best.
I don't think we've talked about running backs being viable flex until the first couple weeks of the season. We've at least been on an 8-week run of nope, running back threes are really gross and it's got to be wide receivers. But yeah, like you said, comparative to what we did on the wide receiver show and what we're talking here, there is a lot more playable wide running backs for this week. So we are going to jump into it. Again, go to fantasypros.com/rankings if you'd like to follow along. If you want to see the updates, remember, we are a time capsule of the ranks when we're doing this. So there's a chance that when you're watching this, there might be some changes as more people submit their ranks in ECR or make changes. But you can do it at fantasypros.com/rankings if you want to follow along all the way up until kickoff. No more time wasted. Let's jump into it. Your running back ones for the week. Let's look at the big board. Christian McCaffrey coming in at number 1 up against the Carolina Panthers. Jonathan Taylor at 2. He's got a tough matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs. Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, and TreVeyon Henderson is a top 6. Derrick Henry, Rico Dowdle, Kyren Williams, Javonte Williams, James Cook, and Chase Brown. That is your bottom half of the first here. Saquon Barkley, you guys are in a different space on him. This isn't a non-startable situation, most likely unless you've got 3 top 10 running backs. But you guys are on opposite ends. Fitzy, you are on the high end. It's the ECR end where you see him as a top 5 back this week going up against the Dallas Cowboys. It's a good matchup. Erickson is a little bit on the other, so it'll be fascinating to hear. But regardless of all the negative things we can say about the Eagles offense, Dallas defense, end, fin, done. That's kind of where I stop with any discussion on a player, especially that's massively talented. Dallas's defense, not super great. And is that playing the biggest role in keeping Saquon Barkley here top 5?
So I did feel a little queasy about this ranking. And I am open to letting Erickson talk me into dropping Saquon in my rankings. It looks like a good matchup on paper. The Cowboys are allowing the 8th most fantasy points per game to running backs. Saquon has been more involved as a pass catcher this season. He's averaging 2.8 receptions a game, and the Cowboys have allowed the 3rd most receiving yards to running backs. But, they might be a little bit of a different defense with Quinshon Williams up front now, so they might be a little tougher. And the loss of star offensive tackle Lane Johnson to a Lisfranc injury is certainly worrisome for Saquon and just the Philly offense in general. The Eagles have a lot of talent on their offensive line. They have underachieved relative to last year, but even without Lane Johnson, this is still a very talented offensive line. And I don't know, for what it's worth, when Saquon Barkley faced the Cowboys way back in that Thursday night season opener in week 1, Barkley, 18 carries for 61 yards and a touchdown, 4 catches for 24 yards. He was tied for RB7 in week 1 fantasy scoring, and I think maybe even that was considered a bit of a letdown for Saquon Barkley stakeholders. So I don't know. Our RB5 does feel too high. I'm not going to lie. You're starting him this week, but maybe maybe Erickson has a point here with where he is ranking him.
Erickson, you've got him at 11, so not a top 10 running back, but still an RB1 going up against Cowboys. What is your theoretical negative take on Saquon Barkley here?
I'm not sure I have much else to add because I think Fitz kind of outlined the concerns, maybe some of the pessimistic points about Saquon Barkley this week. And it's weird because you're talking about top 5 running back. Did not sound like your tone was not, oh, wheels up. Usually we're like, top 5 running back, let's go.
Why are we even talking about this guy?
It's like, yeah, Saquon, he's facing the Cowboys. You got to start him. He's a top 12 running back, which is how I feel. Again, we saw him play Dallas this year. He was not a top 5 running back in the first matchup. And that was when the Eagles offensive line, argued, was at its strength, full health across the board. And yet he couldn't be a top 5 running back. Now, I'll admit Barkley has run kind of cold in terms of just touchdowns the last couple of weeks. He's gotten unlucky. So, because the volume has definitely been there. I mean, he's seen over 22 carries in back-to-back weeks, but we're just not seeing the same type of big explosive plays. And I'm really concerned about this Eagles offense overall. The last 2 weeks have not looked great. And you take Lane Johnson out of this offense, and I just think this matters so much. This was something that Bill Barnwell tweeted out earlier this week. Since 2013, the Eagles are the league's 3rd best offense by EPA per play with Lane Johnson on the field. They are 28th over the same time frame when he's not on the field. Now, they do have a good swing tackle that has filled in, so I don't think it's, okay, now they are the 28th offense in the NFL. And although I agree that Dallas has improved dramatically, again, it's not, oh, now you have to avoid the Dallas Cowboys. But I just think it's kind of eye-opening that the Raiders rushed 8 carries for 13 yards with their running backs. This defense was giving up yards after yards after yards, and Raiders couldn't do anything on the ground. So I think that should just be kept in mind when you're looking at Saquon, that I just don't think, I mean, has he been a top 5 running back at all this season? No. So for those reasons, that's why I have him outside top 5.
Probably going to be one of the most talked about running backs for the next couple of weeks. Every storyline we know can go, but even into this week is TreVeyon Henderson. And TreVeyon Henderson given a very aggressive rank, of course, because it's against the Cincinnati Bengals. It is a 4. I'm surprised it's not a 5-star rating on our rating matchup grades over on Fantasy Pros. But the Cincinnati Bengals, fantastic matchup. TreVeyon, it's like, the last 3 games, over 300 total yards. I mean, he has been a monster. There's always the Ramondre thing that's just kind of looming. There's the usage that's looming. But Erickson, you've got him at 8. Fitzy, you've got him at 6. So actually, let's go to Fitzy here because you've got him a little bit higher. Or you actually got him at consensus with Erickson a tiny bit lower. Where are the concerns, if any? TreVeyon, you've got him at 6. This is just a smash play. Don't overthink it type of thing, right?
Well, the concern is that we get a rug pull from Josh McDaniels in how he deploys his running backs, with Ramondre Stevenson expected back this week, 1 week after TreVeyon's 3-touchdown breakout game. This is a great matchup. No question about it. The Bengals have allowed the most fantasy points per game to running backs by far. They've given up the most rushing yards, the second most receiving yards to running backs. Running backs are averaging 5.4 yards per carry against Cincinnati. So great matchup if Henderson gets the volume that allows him to cash in. And my RB6 ranking is based on the belief that the genie is out of the bottle with TreVeyon Henderson, and he's going to get more work than Ramondre Stevenson going forward. But that's just a guess, and I could totally be wrong about that.
I agree with the sentiment that he will get more work, but I think Ramondre, this is a Trojan horse. This is going to be a problem. We're all like, it's TreVeyon, Gene's out, we're all excited, and it's just like Ramondre is going to get 12 carries and he's going to get a red zone. I don't trust. Yeah, goal line. Yeah, I don't trust this whatsoever. So to me, this feels high because of that, but the matchup is so great. TreVeyon has also proven to be one of those guys. If you give him 10 touches, he could have over 100. Like, he could break this away and make it all irrelevant, but the usage is what I'm very scared about. Erickson, you got him slightly lower. Are you scared about the usage whatsoever, or do you think they will not be able to help themselves? All the coach speak stuff, all the we like Ramondre, is that going to go out the window and you're going to see Stevenson get 18 plus touches?
I don't think he's going to get 18 plus touches. I think that they want to make sure that he's kept in a role where he can remain efficient. And against the Bengals, Fitz said, just you can be really efficient against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know if he's going to need 18 touches to get it done against Cincinnati, but I just want to capture, hey, if Ramondre is back this week, look, I think Stevenson could be a flex play this week. I mean, he's facing the Bengals too. So if he has a role, then I just want to keep that in mind, because if Stevenson was, hey, he's not going to play this week, well, I mean, TreVeyon, he could be like 2 or 3 this week in ECR rankings. So the upside is RB1 on the week, and you just can't bench that in any capacity. And it's hard to rank that type of player outside the top 8, which is why I have him 8.
Yeah, it's funny because last year in college, I don't think there was any single game where TreVeyon Henderson had more than 12 carries, because he was sharing a backfield with Quinshon Judkins. But like, it didn't matter because he was so good and so efficient. He could have these explosive games on 12 carries and 4 catches, against the Purdue Boilermakers. And the Bengals are the Purdue Boilermakers of the NFL here. So no offense to Purdue, and as a Wisconsin fan, I don't have much room to talk this year. But yeah, it's just matchup. You do not necessarily need a 20-touch game out of TreVeyon Henderson to smash here.
Okay, 2 things. Yes or no, TreVeyon Henderson has a 60+% snap share over Ramondre Stevenson. We'll start with you, Fitzy.
Boy, that is you've set this at a very good number, Welsh. That is a tough. I'll say maybe under. I'll say it's like 58-42.
Okay, Erickson?
I'd take over on 60%.
Okay, and then the other is 9.5 carries, Ramondre Stevenson, over or under? Erickson, we'll start with you on this one.
I think he can get double-digit carries with Ramondre, so yeah, I'll take over.
Okay.
I think Patriots roll here. Again, I think Stevenson could be a flex play this week because of how bad the Bengals defense is.
Agreed. Fitz, you agree?
Yep,
okay.
Over.
Those are things I think that are concerning points. The biggest plus to TreVeyon, it is the Bengals. So again, 10, 12 touches, he could create a top 10 fantasy finish without hesitation. It's just, we're laying out a scenario here where Ramondre does not go to the bench. And that, I think, is the thing that we worry a little bit about. All right, those are the running back ones. We've got the RB2s, starting with our RB13, Travis Etienne. We've got on the big board Ashton Jeanty, Quinshon Judkins, Woody Marks, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift. The back half at 19 is Aaron Jones, Ken Walker, Jalen Warren, Emmanuel Wilson, David Montgomery, and Kareem Hunt. Travis Etienne, gentlemen, going up against the Arizona Cardinals. This is one of a small handful of the 4-star matchups in this general range. He is ECR 13. Erickson, you got him at 12. Fitzy, you got him at 14. Erickson, why don't you kick us off? Tootin getting the usage, but banged up right now. What do you think about Travis Etienne and the safety net of using him for this week?
I think it all depends on whether Tootin is 100% ready to go or if he's limited throughout the week on the injury report. So this one, I don't have a ton to add until we learn more about Bayshall Tootin, because, last week it looked like it was a Tootin tugboat takeover of that backfield, although I thought both guys played relatively well. And I think that Liam Cohen is sick of Trevor Lawrence, and he's like, I want to run the ball, like with my 2 talented running backs. We saw it do it last year a little bit at times with Rashad White and Bucky Irving being both productive in the same backfield using this pony personnel. So I think that both guys could potentially be started. It's a plus matchup. Etienne has run pretty cold in terms of touchdowns. He's just been pretty bad at the goal line. Again, not necessarily like an indictment on him. He just hasn't scored, but he's got touchdown upside. He's been efficient. Tootin's been good as well. So this guy will probably move a little bit just based on Tootin's availability.
So this rank is representative of Tootin not playing?
Either limited 12? or not playing, yeah.
Okay, and then Tootin is active. Where does Etienne go? Just relative range.
I mean, you're gonna start him regardless. Like, I don't think that it's like, Tootin's gonna play. Like, you got to bench Etienne. It's like, I guess if we're pushing a lot of running backs into flex, I think there's a scenario of someone sitting there. Like, would he go below Woody Marks? It's not, crazy to think that somebody out there has Derrick Henry, Rico Dowdle, Woody Marks, and Travis Etienne. And if Travis Etienne gets shoved to the bottom of that list, he might not be startable. So just offhand, if Tootin's active, Woody Marks or Etienne for you? I'm going to play Etienne.
Woody Marks going up against Buffalo, by the way. Fitzy, what do you think about Travis Etienne? You have got him at 14, so you're 1 spot lower on consensus. And is this a rank of Tootin not playing?
It is a placeholder ranking. If Tootin doesn't play, I might move up. I'm going to move up Etienne 1 spot. He'll be RB 13. if Tootin does play, I'm going to move him down like 5 spots, and I will have Travis Etienne behind Woody Marks, probably behind DeAndre Swift, and then debate between guys like Quinshon Judkins, Ashton Jeanty, Breece Hall. That's where he's going to land. He's going to be more of a mid-range running back too. And like, even if Tootin doesn't play, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw LaQuint Allen take a lot of the passing down work on. Allen is a good pass catcher, and he's really good in pass protection. So it's not like this would be a 95% snap share for Etienne if Tootin was out. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible ranking, but Etienne has been pretty touchdown dependent, as Erickson mentioned. So, and the touchdowns have kind of dried up lately.
Ashton Jeanty, he is ECR's RB14 on the list. Erickson, you agree. But Fitz, you've got him lower. He has got the Cleveland Browns. This is the singular worst matchup grade rating of these RB2s. Nope, it's a 1-star. Nobody's lower. Jeanty did get involved in the receiving game, which was nice to see in this last matchup. But Fitzy, let's start with you because you are lower, pushing him down to 18. Still like a mid-ish RB2, but your optimism is obviously a little bit less. What do you think about Jeanty for week 2?
Oh, man. I love Jeanty. I'm going to be aggressive on him in 2026 drafts, assuming the Raiders make some much-needed repairs to their offensive line. But things are just looking so bleak right now. He's averaged 3.1 yards per carry over his last 5 games. It's depressing, man. Like, the Raiders' offensive line was not opening up holes for Jeanty even before they lost Colton Miller, their best offensive lineman, to a season-ending injury. Now interior lineman Jackson Powers-Johnson is on IR. The Raiders O-line is just a mess. And while the Browns defense has not been quite as tough in recent weeks as it was early in the season, still not an easy matchup by any means. It's just hard to generate a lot of enthusiasm for Ashton Jeanty, even though I love the player.
Erickson, what do you think about Jeanty? You got him right at ECR. You seem to be a little bit more optimistic, but it is a tough matchup against the Browns.
Just a floor volume play, because I expect Jeanty to still get fed. He's seeing a lot of targets in the passing game. You know, he has one of the best receiving roles over the last couple weeks. So he is 5th in running back target share in his last 3 games. He has 5+ targets in 3 straight games, 13% target share in 5 of his last 6 games. And he has at least 18 opportunities in 4 of his last 6 games. So volume is enough for a guy to finish as a mid-range RB2. Again, I have a little bit higher at RB14 just because we have 4 teams on bye. So I think that he'll be fine. Is he going to be a top 5 guy this week? Probably not, just because he plays on the Raiders. But you look at the optics of this matchup, the Raiders are playing at home against a rookie quarterback, making his first start. So if they're controlling game script, if they're going to win the game, like, they're going to have opportunities to score. I don't think they're just going to get shut out at home. I mean, anything is possible when Geno Smith is your quarterback, so maybe that will be the case here. But I think Jeanty's going to see enough volume. If he's seeing 20 opportunities in a game where they're not getting blown out, especially through the passing game, I think that he'll be fine. And if you talk, again, going back to the Browns defense, you look at where they actually have been weak this season. They have been not that great in terms of missed tackles. So they're 22% missed tackle rate to running backs, giving up 352 yards to running backs from missed tackles. That ranks top 10 in the NFL. 350 yards given up for missed tackles. So look, get Jeanty in space, let him work his magic. Like, that's the one thing that he's been able to do at a high level this year. It's what he did at Boise State. He's done it at the NFL level. Just get him in space, let him run, and he'll get yards.
On the opposite end of this exact game, Quinshon Judkins comes in at RB15. Things have just fallen apart. Just obviously with the offense not being able to move how it does. Offensive line hasn't looked as good. Judkins is just not getting the same push. It's like 17 carries for 58 yards, it feels like, every single week. Not a ton of touchdown equity. You guys are both lower on him than consensus, and the matchup isn't super fantastic either. So Erickson, quick hit on Ashton Jeanty, or on Quinshon Judkins. He's kind of moving down the excitement list a little bit. He does come in at 15, but you have him at 18.
Kind of feels the same way as Jeanty, right? Just a volume play on a bad offense behind a bad offensive line. It's just which rookie running back can break more tackles, right? It's like, who is the best rookie running back in this game? Because they're going to be doing it all on their own because they're not going to get a lot of help from their offense environment. The Browns had more offensive line injuries last week. Cam Robinson got hurt. Jack Conklin is hurt. They're starting a rookie quarterback, Shadur Sanders. Again, it's very easy to paint the picture where the things could go south for Judkins, and what he doesn't have that Jeanty has is the receiving. right? Jeanty has that floor with targets no matter what. If the Browns come out, up 14-0, the Raiders abandon the run game for 2 straight weeks in a row, well, at least Jeanty's going to catch passes. Whereas Judkins, Raiders opened up to a big lead. Judkins is nowhere to be found, potentially with a very subpar receiving role. But besides that, again, he still sees a ton of carries. And if the game is close, I would expect them to continue to feature him to help protect their young rookie quarterback.
Fitzy, it's hard to imagine Judkins doesn't at least get the opportunity for volume with a rookie quarterback in there. It's just it has not amounted to a whole lot. So you also have the lower ranking on Judkins. What's your take on him for week 12?
Yeah, correct, Welsh. It's just been empty volume. And he has averaged 3.2 yards per carry over his last 5 games. He has just 8 receiving yards over that stretch. After that 3-touchdown bad weather game against the Dolphins in Cleveland, he's gone 3 straight games without a touchdown. And Judkins' matchup against the Raiders, it seems enticing, but the Raiders' run defense is actually respectable. They're 16th in DVOA against the run. They've allowed the 14th fewest fantasy points to running backs, just sort of a neutral matchup. And Browns-Raiders is a Vegas total of 36.5 points. So as far as touchdown odds, doesn't seem like the touchdown odds are great for anyone in a game with a total of 36.5.
This last one, this is a tough one. This is going to be a placeholder conversation, but Emmanuel Wilson comes in at 22 going up against the Vikings. Fitz, you got him at 24. Erickson, you got him at 23. There's just still questions about Josh Jacobs and what's going on. So Fitzy, this is the placeholder. I'm guessing this is the placeholder rank for Josh Jacobs not being active at all, or if you get the not active, do you think there is more potential upside in him being the top back?
Yeah, correct. As of now, I'm not ranking Jacobs, but if it's just a knee contusion, which it sounds like is the case, no damage, it's possible Jacobs plays against the Vikings this week, because that is one tough dude, in which case Wilson would just become unplayable. But if Jacobs is out, Packers are a run-heavy team. They're running the ball at the 9th highest rate in the league. Their pass rate over expected is minus 3.4%. And the Vikings, just sort of a neutral matchup for running backs. One thing that concerns me a little bit about Emmanuel Wilson, though, if Jacobs is out, the Packers' other running back, Chris Brooks, pretty good player. It's possible Brooks could split carries with Wilson and Matt LaFleur could go with kind of the hot hand approach, because at one point earlier this season, it looked like Brooks was actually number 2 behind Jacobs, but then Emmanuel Wilson sort of passed him up. So it might be a little more vague with the usage than we think. I know we have Wilson locked in as the pure backup, pure handcuff to Josh Jacobs. I'm not 100% sure that's the case.
See, that's interesting, and I want to get your take on that, Erickson, because in my mind here, I actually feel like this rank, unless that specific thing is part of it, this rank feels like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because if there is no Jacobs, in my mind, I do think Emmanuel Wilson will be the top guy. I think he should rank higher. I think he should be into the teens, especially with the run-heavy team that they are in a neutral matchup, plus they can use him out of the passing game. But if you think Chris Brooks is going to take it away and they're not comfortable giving Wilson the Josh Jacobs touches, then that does make sense for this style of rank in like the late 20s. But Erickson, you tell us, is Brooks a threat? Is this 100% rank of Jacobs not there? Is this kind of a placeholder? Where are you at on Wilson and the Packers running back situation?
I mean, I can't speak personally or for everyone in ECR. I know I rank this as Jacobs is out, Emmanuel Wilson is a back-end fantasy RB2. That's how I view him. And I think even stylistically, that's kind of what he looks like. I don't, and Fitz, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that Emmanuel Wilson is some super dynamic special running back. And he's definitely not Josh Jacobs. Like Josh Jacobs is going to fight for every single yard. And especially given some of the injuries on the Packers offensive line this year, it's been tougher sledding, I think, for Jacobs. It's not just these wide open holes. So he's had to create a lot of yards on his own. I think Wilson is more of that kind of grinder type of running back, and he's pretty good with yards after contact, but he's not super elusive in any way. He's not making guys miss in terms of breaking ankles. Again, I don't think he's so different from guys like Rodriguez or Bam Knight. And we were never ranking these guys as top 20 running backs, even when we felt oh, Bam Knight's the guy this week. Okay. Did he score a touchdown? Am I happy? Yes. Checking off the boxes. So I think that's kind of what you're looking for with Wilson is hey, does he find the end zone? Great. I feel good about it, but I don't think we're looking at, he's going to go for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, a monster game from Wilson. So compared to a lot of these wide receivers that we don't feel great about, yeah, give me Wilson. Give me the floor that he's going to offer, especially playing for the Packers, high-powered offense, most weeks at least. You feel good about that, but I'm not trying to rank him super aggressively because, yeah, I think Chris Brooks is pretty good. And I think entering this year, it seemed like it was going to be more Chris Brooks than Wilson. Wilson has played a little bit better and earned more of a role, even alongside Jacobs at times this year when he was nursing that calf injury. So if anything, I guess I would be still kind of concerned about Jacobs if he does play, because we saw his snaps reduce dramatically when he was dealing with that calf injury and Wilson was playing more. So I don't think we're going to get 85% snap share of Josh Jacobs. I think that he would be limited. Now, obviously, he can score a touchdown, but I think Jacobs would probably be more of a low-end RB2 or a mid-range RB2 this week than a locked and loaded top 10 guy like he usually is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Would he be like, 18 to 20, and then Wilson probably gets thrown down into the 30, 40 type of range? It seems like we were kind of headed. All right, we got wide receiver or running back threes, not wide receivers, running back threes coming up. But first, dominate your fantasy football league with Fantasy Pros Premium. Now available free for 6 months when you deposit and place your first wager on one of our partner sportsbooks. The easiest way to get full access to our top fantasy tools all season long. Go to fantasypros.com/premium to get started. Even this late in the season, it totally, can set you up for the playoffs and more. So go and do that today. All right, RB3s, 25 through 36. Starts off with Alvin Kamara at 25, Tyrone Tracy, Zach Charbonnet, Sean Tucker at 28, Kenny Gainwell, Bam Knight at 30. Back half is Rashad White, Tajay Spears, Tony Pollard, Kyle Monangai, Devin Singletary, and Tyler Algier. Has Alvin Kamara re-entered the circle of trust? Fitzy, you and him have a bad relationship. He had the big game. Is he back in the circle of trust? You've got him at 26. Erickson does as well. You guys are essentially ECR. But has the thought process changed for you, Fitzy?
Yeah, he's maybe not back in the circle of trust yet, Welsh, but he's ringing the doorbell. And I'm thinking about whether to let him in. Things were just looking so bad for Kamara until week 10, the Saints' last game before their week 11 bye. Kamara had either his best or second best game of the season in week 10 with 83 rushing yards and 32 receiving yards. Before week 10, Kamara had not produced more than 31 rushing yards in a game since week 4. And I just wonder if Tyler Shuck might be better for Alvin Kamara than Spencer Rattler was. Not even so much from a pass catching perspective, but it was just that Rattler was not challenging defenses downfield very often. So defenses didn't really have to worry about Rattler beating them over the top. Maybe Tyler Shuck can loosen up defenses a little bit for Kamara and keep safeties from cheating up against the run. Like, I'm not that optimistic, but yeah, I mean, I feel better about Alvin Kamara now than I did a couple weeks ago, but the Saints offensive line is still kind of a mess. It's not a high powered offense. So we're keeping expectations in check for sure, but expectations, boy, back before week 10, they were at rock bottom, Welsh.
Yeah, we'd been in ranges of cutting them and being done with them. We've talked a lot about the Saints here, Erickson, and their offense and what Shuck is doing. You haven't 25 or 26, so you're not like ringing the bell or anything like that, but the level of confidence is raised a little bit in that he can be we've talked about this, like wide receiver 3 versus running back 3. Kamara is definitely a higher end flex option.
Yeah, I just like this spot for the Saints, to be honest. Going up against the Falcons at home, like, this is a spot where their offense should be productive. And if Alvin Kamara is going to see 25 touches for the second straight game, then, he's got to finish like top 20. Right? I know, like, he got to 17 the last time he played, which, again, 25 touches for over 100 scrimmage yards. You're expecting an RB1 finish. I think that you always have to bring it down a little bit when it comes to the Saints offense. I don't think we're going to see them score 40 points against the Falcons, but he's been better in home games this year. And I think that just goes to the fact that the Saints playing closer games. If they're not getting blown out, then they can keep Kamara in the game. However, I do have some concerns that it's not 25 touches, and we do see a lot of Devin Neal. Devin Neal has been playing that Kendre Miller role alongside Kamara, where both guys were involved. And I don't know, guys, I'm getting the feeling that's going to be Taysom Hill week as well. We're talking about the Saints having a big game. If they're having red zone opportunity, like, they love Taysom Hill in the red zone. So I think that's how this hurts you. It's not that the Saints offense lays an egg. It's, oh my God, Taysom Hill scored another rushing touchdown in the red zone. Man, you're pulling your hair out. So that's kind of why I'm just pressing pause a little bit on wheels up Kamara top 20 guy, but I think he's fine this week. Obviously better in full PPR, but hey, I mean, Taysom Hill in the flex, maybe.
Just we can't, Erickson. It's too late in the season for us to chase a Taysom Hill week. We just can't unless we're forced to. Sean Tucker, though, we talked at the top of the show. Sean Tucker, ECR 28. Fitzy, you've got him a little bit higher, and Erickson is trying to bury him. So, Fitzy, let's talk the positive here for a second. Sean Tucker has a huge week. There's questions, of course, in the usage and the starting. It's also not a great matchup that's thrown out there, but Tucker definitely had to create a wider net of confidence with the Bucs that he could be used more. But these ranks aren't super hyper aggressive. But again, you are one spot higher than consensus. So what's your positive take-ish on Tucker as a flex?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like I'm too high on him, quite honestly. As good as Tucker was last week, 106 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 140 yards from scrimmage, he still played 11 fewer snaps than Rachaad White and had a favorable matchup against the Buffalo run defense. And now he gets a much tougher draw against the Rams, who have allowed the 3rd fewest fantasy points to running backs. And obviously, we're going to have to drop Sean Tucker in the rankings considerably if Bucky Irving is able to return this week. Still no word on his practice status as we record this podcast early Wednesday afternoon. But, I think Tucker is like flex worthy if Irving doesn't come back. But we're probably not getting another 140 yards out of him.
Yeah, and good point. This is the placeholder ranking. I think this is the placeholder ranking for Bucky not playing, but there could be some people that are like, I just don't know. Let's see. And then they just kind of put him in a relative space. Erickson, you seem pretty definitive. You pushed him down to 35, so he's just barely in that top 36 into that flex range. What is your week 12 take on Sean Tucker?
Well, Todd Bowles said, again, this is kind of relatively new, that Bucky Irving is ramping up his practice reps to be available for week 12. So I think we could have a 3-headed mess in a terrible matchup against the Rams. So this is a situation where we don't know how the touches are going to be distributed at all, and they're not facing the Buffalo Bills. It's one thing when you can kind of embrace the risk of, okay, I'm not sure what the workload is going to be like, but it's the Bills, it's the Bengals, it's the Cowboys, whatever. The guys can be efficient, but against the Rams, much tougher defense to run the football on. You gotta have big stones to play Sean Tucker again.
Is this rank Bucky is out?
No, Bucky's in. Like RB35 for me is you're not starting Sean Tucker this week.
No, I meant like your 35 rank of Sean Tucker. This is Bucky being out.
No, this is Bucky being in it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, then I wasn't. So then where's Bucky in your ranks in this 3-headed monster?
I have not ranked Bucky yet. So I was still waiting. I mean, I was under the impression that he was going to come back at some point, but again, all these Buccaneers running backs ranks are going to change by the time we get the full news on Friday. So what? Okay. So what's the theoretical rank? All 3 are active. What does it look like to you? You don't have to be exact. You can just give range. I guess I really don't know off the top of my head. I don't mean to give bad radio, but I don't know. Okay. So my brain is frying. The Sean Tucker rank of 35 is with Bucky active. Correct. Got it. And Bucky will rank higher, but he is not ranked there. Correct. If Bucky will slide in yet. If Bucky is inactive, does Tucker move higher than 35? Yes. 30? Sure. Okay, cool. All right. That makes you happy, Welsh.
Erickson's ranking of Sean Tucker has turned into a who's on first.
That is 100% like we're dancing. But check the rankings on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We can all find out together where I decided to put Sean Tucker. Boom. That's who's on first. All right. Let's go through the final one here. It is Bam Knight. Bam Knight comes in at 30. Kind of another one of those that's floating out there. There's no DeMarcado, so you know you have that. Yes. Trey Benson's window is up. That will obviously affect this. So this rank is going to just be a rank of he's the only guy, which that's kind of the wheels up situation. If like he's just the dude, you got to feel good about it. He is at 30. You guys are roughly in the same range. Erickson, you kick it off real quick. I'm not going to ask you if Bucky is active. What is Bam's relative
if
rank?
Kyler Murray comes back in this game, how does that affect? What about Marlon Mack?
I could do the Trey Benson. I could do the Trey Benson one here, but talk to us about Bam. Bam's the only guy in town then.
I think Bam is fine. He's got touchdown equity on an offense that can score points. The Jaguars, like Fitz mentioned on one of the, I think it was the wide receiver show, they are more of a pass funnel than a run funnel. So you're not expecting this massive rushing efficiency from Bam Knight, but this offense moves the ball and puts themselves in red zone opportunities. He should get goal line touchdowns. So yeah, I think that he's a strong RB3, and with him versus some of these fringier wide receiver options, I think that he can be fine in a pinch.
Fitzy, you got him at 31 just right off of there, but take us home here. Bam Knight, confidence level. Like I asked you before, is he like do you think it's a start of a tier, the end of a tier, or, I mean, you could play the middle too if you want. Like, where do you think he kind of sits in the range of RBs that he's around, Kenny Gainwell and Sean Tucker and Charbonnet, and behind him is like Tajay Spears and Pollard?
Yeah, Erickson just used two phrases that paint sort of different pictures: strong RB3 or fine in a pinch. I'm more with the fine in a pinch. Like, I don't see him as that strong. I kind of have him in a tier. Like, I've actually got Tyler Algier ranked one spot ahead of Bam Knight this week, and I've got Bam Knight just ahead of the two Tennessee Titans, and I don't think anyone feels great about either Tajay Spears or Tony Pollard against the Seahawks this week. I guess the Jaguars are a good run defense. Like, they have allowed the second fewest rushing yards. Only the Patriots have given up fewer rushing yards than the Jaguars this year. And while barring a surprise return, or maybe not such a surprise, but barring Trey Benson's return, Knight's going to be the lead guy, but Michael Carter is probably going to get some snaps too. So I don't know. It's just hard to see a big ceiling for Bam Knight, but maybe he can at least give you a decent floor.
I always forget about Michael Carter. Michael Carter, forgetting about, well, ECR 30, he's in that mid-tier range. It's funny you said Algier, because that was one I was going to bring up, going up against the Saints, and, probably going to want to run the ball a little bit more to get the ball out of Kirk Cousins' hands. I think Algier becomes kind of an interesting flex option as well. Those are our running backs for week 12 that we're talking about. If we did not pseudo answer your question, or there was another guy, you still got an opportunity. The Start and Sit live stream on our YouTube channel, where you can come and ask any specific Start and Sit questions. Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern. If you're on the podcast, youtube.com/fantasy pros, subscribe, click, get notified. Don't miss it. That is going to do it. Week 12 RBs in the books. For Erickson and Fitzy, I'm Welsh. Let's see what happens with Bucky Irving. Goodbye.